Bill Nye asks, what is the best field game you've ever played? Well, to be fair, I'd have to break it down by genre. But my favorite beat 'em up of all time is God Hand. My favorite survival horror game of all time is most likely Silent Hill 2. Although I enjoy the original and third game as well, and even Silent Hill 4. My favorite fighting game of all time is probably Soul Calibur 2. Although I enjoy the original and third game as well. My favorite third-person shooter is Vanquish. But you'll definitely find out eventually what my favorite game from each genre is, since I do plan on making a lot more top 5 videos, since I actually do enjoy making them, and they help me get into more games I never played before. What is by far the best field game franchise you've ever got your hands on? I'm going to go with the Yakuza series. I've been a fan of the series since the original. I picked up the first game when I was looking for more beat-em-ups to play on PlayStation 2. And I gotta say, the game surprised me. I didn't expect to like the game as much as I did. Honestly, the only long-running series I can think of I still enjoy to this day. But I know the series is not for everyone. It never has been. And unfortunately, the series has been handled pretty poorly in the West. Each entry usually takes at least 2 or 3 years to get localized. Which is a real shame, since the first game is the only entry in the series to provide English dubbing. The rest are English sub only. I know most fans prefer English subbing, but I've always thought the series should have provided both English dubbing and subbing from the start. I think it's part of the reason why the series hasn't caught on more. But even so, the series is still my personal favorite. What do you think about the cancellation of Darkwatch 2? And would you like to see its return sometime in the future? I think the cancellation of Darkwatch 2 does blow, but it's one of many canceled sequels from its generation. It's common for sequels to get canceled for games that flop, which is a shame, since a lot of these games did deserve sequels, but they'll never get it. And if Darkwatch ever does come back, it won't be a sequel. It'll most likely be like a remake or reboot, since it's been too long since the original game. Darkwatch is definitely a cool game. I mean, there aren't many games where you play as a cowboy vampire. But I think the least they can do is put this game on PSN, since it's so overlooked. You know, help give the game some more traction for those who do want a sequel. What do you think about the gaming industry as of today in general? I think the modern gaming industry definitely has a lot of problems. Not only do we have bad DLC, microtransactions, and full retail games, but there's also a lack of variety and innovation we just didn't see before. It's 2016, and I still think most of the best games are ports and remasters from last generation. Once in a while we get great games like Doom, but for the most part it's been slow. Would you like to see a full-on sequel to Black? Yes.
I don't want to rain on your fucking parade, but how the fuck are you planning to get by all those swinging dicks?
I'm actually surprised they haven't made a sequel already, considering how well the game sold.
See you assholes on the other side. Overwatch and lies on the move! Someone get on that flank!
They did make a spiritual successor called Body Count, but it's not a true sequel. I mean, come on. All they gotta do is make everything explosive, lose the plot, add some Wilhelm screams, and there you go. Black 2. Simple, but effective. So yeah, make it happen. This next question is from a YouTube friend. Very nice guy. He's actually giving me a few shoutouts on his channel. He also likes to give shoutouts to other YouTubers as well that deserve more attention. He also does reviews and Let's Plays on his channel. Anyways, Pocket Rocket Radio asks, if you could pick a band that you like to do the soundtrack to one of your favorite games or game series, which band and which game series would you combine and why? Well, to be honest, most of my favorite games already have great soundtracks that I wouldn't want to change. But I can think of one game I would want to change the soundtrack to, and that's the new Doom. It's my game of the year, but like I said earlier in the video, I'm not a fan of the soundtrack. Personally, I would have liked to take the heavy metal approach since Doom is metal. Would have liked to get multiple, heavy metal and thrash metal artists to collaborate, with bands like, Razor, or, Testament, or even, any of the bands that actually inspired the original Doom soundtrack. Or even more modern bands like Children of Bodom. Mikiro asks, what are some underrated games from this generation you would like to recommend to people? But to be honest, my PlayStation 4 collection is very small. But I can think of one game to recommend. The game is called Murder, Soul Suspect. The game kind of gives me a Silent Hill vibe a little bit. But it's definitely not the most in-depth game you'll ever play. It's pretty simple. And I think that's part of the reason why the game got as much flack as it did. Although, to be honest, I'd rather play games like Murdered Soul Suspect than another walking simulator, or games like Beyond Two Souls. But I think the game does stand out enough to be worth checking out, especially since the game is pretty cheap nowadays. And I think the main reason this game isn't regarded very highly is because most people were expecting LA Noire of ghosts. But the game is far from that. Like I said, the game's pretty simplistic. It definitely relies on its narrative to drive you through the game. But like I said, if you want to play something different, I think Murdered Soul Suspect is worth giving a try.
Finally, some peace and quiet. All her parties. How can anyone sleep through music blasting like that?